Between the Allied nations and Germany went into effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. For that reason, November 11th, 1918 is generally regarded as the end of the war to end all wars. In November 1919, President Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day with the following words: "To us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service and with gratitude for victory, both because of the thing from which it has freed us and because of the opportunity it has given America to show her sympathy with peace and justice in the Council of Nations." Then on October 8, 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower issued the first Veterans Day proclamation, which stated, "In order to ensure proper and widespread observance of this anniversary, all veterans, all organizations, and the entire citizenry will wish to join hands in the common purpose. Toward this end, I am designating the Administrator of Veterans Affairs as the Chairman of a Veterans Day National Committee, which shall include such other persons as the Chairman may select, and which will coordinate at the national level necessary planning for the observance. I am also requesting the heads of all departments and agencies of the executive branch of the government to assist the National Committee in every way possible." So that is the brief history of Veterans Day, and that is why we observe Veterans Day. And now at this time, a moment of silence for those soldiers lost. Just a few pictures now. Next year and following years, I would like to include as many pictures of our students' loved ones that have served and our staff's loved ones that have served. I'm very proud of this picture. Some of you that have been in my office have seen it. This is my grandfather's plane. He's kneeling in the middle on the bottom. He flew a PBY rescue plane. He taught me the lesson that freedom is not free, and I learned of the many sacrifices that he made, and many of his experiences helped me to become the person that I am today. And I know you have similar experience with loved ones that have served our country in this way. Pictures of him training. The little girl on the left, actually my mother. 1943. My uncle, now deceased. Next year, let's have a presentation with slides of all of your loved ones that have served. So, if we could have the lights now, Devin. I leave you with the notion that freedom is not free. I would like to now turn the floor over to the wonderful Mrs. Lynn Opgenorth for a presentation of World War II Readers Theater radio play excerpts, and she will explain the presentation.
I'm very pleased and privileged to be here this morning to talk to you about this subject in particular. My grandfather was a radio man in World War I, and my father served in the Navy. I have a brother who served in Vietnam, and I myself might have been in the military, except for the fact that I was blind in one eye and was not accepted. But it was an attempt that I made based on the history that my family had with the military. Commonly, when people remember World War II, they remember the December 7th attack on Pearl Harbor, or maybe the Germany concentration camps. But most are unaware that the Japanese also attacked the Philippines, where they captured an estimated 90 to 100,000 starving American and Filipino troops in what became known as the Battle of Bataan. After which, they forced them to walk over 60 miles in conditions so unbearable that only about 56,000 survived the journey. Jack Miller of Rapid City is a survivor of the march. His story, told in 82 poems written by Terry Wooten, offers a taste of the suffering that those men endured. Ladies and gentlemen, the author is here this morning. Terry, would you please stand up? In Mr. Wooten's words, Lifelines is a story that could be shared not only by Jack and Lita Miller, but by thousands of other couples during World War II. I'm sure similar stories have been told from wars before and repeated during wars since. It is a story about love and survivors who don't necessarily consider themselves heroes. They were doing what they felt they had to do for the sake of their family and their country. It's a story that should be told to each new generation and remembered. Indeed, that's our purpose today. To remember not only Jack Miller, who, by the way, was an Elk Rapids High School graduate, but also to remember all who have fought and are fighting for the freedoms that we enjoy today. I will share the prologue with you, after which Devin Doherty, Dan Parlin, Billy Wolfington, Trevor Babiars will all share cuttings from this World War II experience of Jack Miller from the book Lifelines. We were sick and had a low-calorie diet before starting They didn't call it the Death March until so many of us died. The hike was 60 to 90 miles from Mariveles to San Fernando in 95-degree heat. We were walking on blisters, bleeding feet, meat to raw bone on hot pavement. For 5 days, I don't remember getting any food or water. Anybody who fell out was either shot or bayoneted. Anything that could happen did. Married men tore up and threw away photos of their wives and kids so that Japanese guards couldn't desecrate them. There was this smashed up figure of a person, like a silhouette on the road. He'd been run over by a tank and left in the sun to dry. It looked like someone had drawn a flat picture. Nobody in our group knew who he was. We spent nights in cramped, hot buildings without toilets or in filthy fields full of mosquitoes. During the heat of the day, sometimes the Japanese guards would make us stand still. It was called the sun treatment. Filipino citizens tried to sneak us food and water, or they'd flash us the victory sign. When Japanese soldiers, old Filipino women, long full skirts, would motion for prisoners to crawl under their hammocks and hide until the guards had passed. A few escaped that way. In San Fernando, they loaded what was left of us on freight trains. 100 men per boxcar. It was so crowded you couldn't sit down and so hot, guys died. Most of us had malaria and dysentery. The stink was suffocating. After unloading in Capas, we walked another 10 miles to Campo Dao. From my point of view, I went through the whole experience with an indifferent feeling. I wasn't playing mental games with myself. I just ignored what reality was and tried to stay out of the way. Years later, I wake up all sweaty. The dreams were always accurate and matched reality. The nightmares stopped.